Sister, how you feel about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan coming to Springfield?
I think he's wonderful, and this is my first time hearing him speaking, and I think I will enjoy it.
First of all, I love Minister Louis Farrakhan. I've been following behind that brother for 25 years now. This is my 25th year. I just traveled from New York City to be here. My brother right here is assistant minister over this mosque. And I'm proud to see one of my younger brothers following behind my minister. I've showed him the way, now he's following behind him, assistant minister out here. I love Minister Louis Farrakhan. I know the minister well. I know him well. He made me a minister in 1982, as well as I've traveled with him and his family out in California and worked with Brother Jabril Muhammad in his ministry class. So I'm right at home. There's no place else for me to be today but right here, where the Honorable Louis Farrakhan is.
I think it's wonderful. We're from New York, so we made a long trip to get here. But I would travel, to tell you the truth, basically anywhere to see the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
I went to Savior's Day in Chicago, and it was lovely. And I broke my neck to get here today, and I'll break my neck in Newark at the end of the month. I love him. I love him. He's great.
I think it's wonderful. It was a long ride, but it was worth it.
Amazed. I was surprised. I was just exposed recently to him through videotapes. I listened, I learned a lot, and wanted to experience more.
I feel good about it. We need more black men like Minister Farrakhan to come here to Springfield, because he's a good example for our people.
Springfield's black community isn't as strong as it should be, and Louis has a lot of powerful messages, and I think a lot of black people need to hear what he has to say.
I think it's great.
I think it's marvelous. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for our people to hear from his mouth how he feels and to defend himself and the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Happy.
Look at the camera, Mama.
Happy.
Who is this?
I think it's a good thing for all the people here in Springfield. We get other views. I think it's a good idea.
He's quite a powerful speaker, and I've heard him before, and I'm looking forward to another speech by him.
It was about time. It was needed. I'm just happy that he's here. Good chance to see him speak.
I think he'll be a positive influence for the community. We need some motivation and also some discipline in this area.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. In their names, I would like to greet you, my beloved brothers and sisters, with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Please remain on your feet as I introduce to you the greatest black man that I've ever met in my life. When I was blind, he helped me to see. When I was deaf and dumb, he helped me to be able to hear and to be able to speak to our people. I thank Allah over and over again for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the national representative of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Please welcome him to Springfield, our leader, our teacher, and our guide, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Minister Louis Farrakhan. Let him know you love him.
Thank you. Please be seated. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful,
who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, the great Mahdi. We thank him for his coming and for his raising up in our midst a divine leader, teacher, and guide, our messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I greet all of you, my dear brothers and sisters of Springfield, Massachusetts, and other places, with the greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum. To Minister Yusuf Muhammad, to the laborers and staff of Mosque number 13, and to all of the wonderful believers who worked so hard not only to prepare this night for us, but to open a very beautiful mosque and shopping plaza here in the city of Springfield as a sign that we are determined to do something for ourselves. To the ministers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, community leaders of Springfield, and to all of you, I'm very honored to have this privilege to come back to Springfield. Springfield is one of those wonderful cities that I have so many fond memories of during my early days in the study of the teachings of Islam under the leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I used to come in and out of Springfield quite regularly. It has grown tremendously since those days. But now let us get right to our business.
Yes, sir.
America, as we speak, is in deep trouble.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
She's burdened with tremendous debt. And as in any family, when a husband and wife are burdened with debt, that kind of stress begins to undermine the internal workings of the house.
Yes, sir.
If that is so as individuals, it is equally so with a nation. When a nation has the kind of debt that America has, nearly $5 trillion in public debt, with the closing down of factories, and they're moving out of America into third world countries because of the cheap labor market, and more Americans out of work, over 10 million, and steadily growing, then this overwhelming pressure on the society causes social disorganization. The disruption of family and all of the tensions in the society that could be hidden under good times become manifest when times get tough.
Yes, sir.
Black people in general suffer more when there's a downturn in the economic picture of this country, and when tensions rise socially in the country
there's always this need, it appears, to suppress and oppress in even greater dimensions the black population. In this case, black men are more vulnerable than any other member of the society. Because as black men, we have borne the brunt of America's hatred for black people. And there seems to be a great fear of retribution on the part of whites that black people one day will attempt to pay them back for the evils that their fathers, and now even some of the children of those fathers, continue to do to black people. To hear Newt Gingrich and Senator Dole and the Republicans talk about cutting back welfare as though we have been the burden on the society. To talk about welfare reform is one thing, but to talk about the removal of a safety net on families that need help, that is cold and heartless. To cut back programs that are necessary to get young people moving in a proper direction, to make young people and poor people and the elderly suffer for government mismanagement of resources is wicked. The social unrest that is already in the country, the seeds of revolution are being fed by social and political conditions that make us wonder, is somebody really trying to destroy this nation and scapegoating black and poor people for their wicked agenda? I would like to take a few minutes in a very, I would call it a fireside chat, to deal with these kinds of issues. The people in Congress who make laws are not from the poor. Most of your congresspersons are members of the rich and wealthy class of American people. Those who genuinely can advocate for the poor are overwhelmed by the business of the rich. So the poor in America, black and white, Hispanic, Native American, Asian, and otherwise, really do not have strong advocacy. Listen now. Jesus said, "Blessed are the poor." Well, I know he told the truth, but we have to ask ourselves, how is any poor man blessed being poor? when you wake up in the morning with insufficient food to feed your children, insufficient money to pay the rent, or living under a bridge or in a cardboard box, and you are a veteran who fought for America, how could you feel in that condition blessed? As I studied that scripture, I said, oh, I see. The poor are blessed because Jesus came from the poor to be the advocate of the poor. And that's what got him in trouble with the rich, who were the bloodsuckers of the poor. Now, welfare is not the problem. Head Start is not the problem. Entitlement programs that help young people to go to college is not the problem. What is the real problem? And who is the real problem? Because you can't have a what if you don't have a who. And if you know what the problem is and don't know who's producing the problem, then you still are at a loss. But when you know who, and you know what, and you know why, and you know when, and you know how, then you may be able to get out of that problem and solve it. To scapegoat the poor and to make poor people the burden, when in fact the country was built on the backs of the poor. The poor have always been the labor that made the country great. The poor slave made the South rich. The poor worker made the industrial North rich.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
The riches of the country have been gained on the backs of the poor, but now the poor are being looked at as an unnecessary population. Whether you are black or white, Asian or Hispanic, there is a movement to get rid of not thousands but millions of poor people, not only in America but throughout the world. Those of you who have lived 60, 70, 80 years, you have never seen the health condition of the country worse than it is now. Here's America, the most technologically advanced nation in the world, but the sickest, a population full of sick people, overweight people, diseased people. You that are elderly, that lived in the South when we didn't have as much knowledge as we have today, as much science or technology as we had today, yet you lived longer and did better. But now cancer is eating up the American people. black and white. High blood pressure, hypertension, cirrhosis of the liver, heart disease, not to mention the social diseases, gonorrhea, syphilis, herpes, AIDS, and other viruses that are on the horizon that make AIDS look comfortable. We just saw on the news in Japan, somebody got on a subway and released in the air a gas, some kind of vial filled with some kind of biological or chemical warfare, death and destruction. We have read that they're working on ethnic weapons. What is an ethnic weapon? You say we are all the same. In some sense, we are. But how could they, if we're all the same, find a bone and tell you that that is the bone of an Asian or a black person or a white person, and the bone is thousands of years old? If we're all the same, then what science are they using to determine who this bone belongs to? According to some things that I read, they're developing ethnic weapons that can ill affect blacks, and whites could be in the room and not be affected. I said, now that is interesting. And here we are as black people. Some of us have never been homosexual, dying of AIDS. Where did it come from? Who is responsible for it? What is happening to you, to us, to the country? I'm looking at mature men and women who 40 years ago saw some sense of family and community. Now family is gone, community is gone. No one seems to want to take responsibility for community. The educational system is destroyed. When you send your children to school, and I know as a sports figure, some of you say stay in school. That's like saying to the convict, stay in jail. It's almost that bad. Why should they stay in a place that they're being killed in? And I'm not talking about guns. I'm talking about what's happening to the heads of our children. Do you think this is accidental, or do you think this has some design to it? How could I go to school 50 years ago or more up the street in Boston and come out of high school having 4 years of Latin under my belt, 2 years of German, 2 years of French, 1 year of Spanish, plane geometry, solid geometry, trigonometry, calculus, ancient history, medieval history, modern history. How could I come out knowing how to read and the dumbest brother in the class knew how to read? And today, America is graduating from 10 to 30% of her youth as functional illiterates. What's going on? What's going on? Marvin Gaye raised the question. What's going on? There was a time, sisters, when codes of decency said that even when you took off your clothes to go swimming, you had something covering you. Today, you are less covered than the lower animals. They have a tail to cover their sensitive parts, and you walk with a string in your tail. What's going on? There was a time when a man liked another man. He had to keep that quiet. That's right. Real quiet. He had to act like he could lift pianos with his hand. But today, little children are performing sex acts that grown-ups who are older never even thought of. What's going on? What's going on? There was a time when children respected elders. There was a time when children listened to their parents. But today, your children have been moved beyond your grasp. You can't reach your own children. Somebody else has more influence over your children than you have. And government is making it easier for children to disrespect the parents. You send them to school and the school teacher tells them to get condoms. That's right. You send your girls to school and somebody is teaching them about birth control, and then some of your babies can go and have abortions and you, the mother, don't know anything about it. You say, America the Beautiful. I don't know about that. She's getting uglier every day, and somebody has to take responsibility for the ugliness of a nation. And it's not Louis Farrakhan. I didn't do this. When we look and see the destruction of the educational system and the destruction of home, family, where marriage is no longer sacred. That's right. The vows that we take mean nothing. Come on, where yesterday a man might think twice before interfering in another man's house. Today it's not even a thought. Where yesterday a man might think twice before interfering with another man's daughter. Today that's not even a consideration. You say, well, things are changing. Yes, they really are. But God has given all of us a standard by which human behavior is measured. When you obliterate and destroy the standard, then what you think is moral or I think is moral becomes the standard. Come on, that's right. But you are not to determine the standard. You are not the author of the life that you have. So he who authored life and is the giver of life and the designer of this life should be the one to set the standard. And how dare you, psychologists, sociologists, with your little scholarship, now want to pit your few years on the earth against the infinite wisdom of him who is ageless. The children are beyond the reach of teachers. Yes, sir. The children are beyond the reach of parents. Yes, sir. The children are beyond the reach of teachers. Yes, and they're beyond the reach of preachers. Yes, sir. Well, what happened? Who put them beyond your reach? Come on. How did that go down? Come on. And you don't even know what happened. How did they change the educational system on you? And you weren't even aware that the system was being radically altered to produce the madness that you're looking at. You say, oh no, the school is not responsible for this. Yes. Yes. Education is a form now of manipulation. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. You are not educated people. Come on. If you were properly educated, that would be reflected in the society. That's right. If you had the knowledge that you think you have, then why can't you correct the problems that your education says you are trained to correct? You're a sociologist, but you can't correct the social problem. You're an economist, but you can't correct the economic problem. You're a psychiatrist, and the people are going crazy all around you, and you are nuts yourself. You are a doctor, and you are sick. That's right. Something's going on. Hollywood. Come on now. We used to be able to go to the movies when I was a youngster. We saw some horror movies that would scare you half out of your wits. But love scenes were modest. Right. And if sex were involved, you didn't see it. You just got the hint. Something was going on. They'd have the moon come up or a rush of water and birds singing, and you say, oh, I see. Do you remember? Today, nothing is left to imagination. If you're a decent parent, you don't know what movie to see. PG, I don't know what PG means. poor girl? I used to think that getting an X meant that you were in the nation. Let me go see this Muslim movie here. So-and-so 3X. Well, that's a little light humor, but Hollywood is shaping attitudes.
Yes, it is. Tell it.
Hollywood is shaping attitudes toward homosexuality that are in direct conflict with the standard given by God.
That's right. Come on. That's right.
Hollywood is reshaping our values, moral values. And nobody is saying anything about that.
That's right. No, come on.
Now, brothers and sisters, in the midst of all of this madness is a country that is dying from an internal rot while the people watch Michael Jordan with his magnificent magic with a ball, or Shaquille, or Dominique. They're getting ready to look at Brother Michael Tyson or Michael Jackson, and this is fantastic magic using the gifts of God to keep you busy doing nothing while your world is being moved out from under you and you are partying your life away, smoking and drinking, laughing and dancing, and the world is coming down around you. And the biggest hype of all is saved for religion.
Come on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, if our brother preachers, sister preachers are in the audience, you have to ask yourself, are you really, really, really a disciple of Christ?
Good question. Good question.
Are you really that?
Come on.
I mean, I want to put something on your mind tonight.
Yes, sir. Put it on our mind. Go ahead.
Now, I know that that's what we want to be. I didn't ask you, do you want to be a disciple of Christ? I asked you, are you? Well, what are you questioning me for? Of course I am. But the reason I raise the question is because if you in your life don't have the power to overcome evil in your life, you are not really a disciple of Christ. I'm going to say that again. If you are powerless to deal with any form of sin, you're not a disciple.
Go ahead.
Because the least disciple of Christ got power to overcome evil in his or her own life, but even more than that, if you're any kind of disciple of Christ, you have power to overcome evil wherever you shine the light of God's truth. My question, if America is in fact a Christian nation, then where is Christ in government, in Congress, in the state legislature? Where is he in the city halls, in the police department, in the business ethics of the people? He's not there. You can't be a liar and a thief and a cheat in Jesus' name. You can't be involved. You can't be involved in redlining and be a disciple of Jesus Christ. You can't promote homosexuality and immorality and filth and be a disciple of Jesus Christ. Talk to me. This country is using Jesus' name as a shield for immoral, unlawful, and wicked practice.
That's right.
Now, religion is weak and powerless in the society. Oh, they invite you preachers to political gatherings. Would you give the benediction? We'll have the benediction by Reverend. We will have the convocation by Reverend so-and-so. And after you say a few little words, you get out the way. Now we're going to get down, take care of business here. Men of God are relegated to little insignificant places except on Sunday. And I watch us on Sunday in front of our congregation, acting like we are the powerful words to bring revelation from God. And inside the church, hell is raging. And outside the church, hell is raging. And we, the men of God, don't have no power to change the condition of our own society, our own communities. I ask you, what's going on? Well, let me tell you, since I've asked the question. You vote for a president and you think he's the man in power. Poor Bill Clinton. All these people that you think have real power that are seen, and there's some unseen forces that are known by a few, but the masses do not know who is pulling the strings. How could Bill Clinton be the sole power voted for by the American people to do the will of the American people? Come on. And Congress and the American people say, don't bail out the Mexican peso. Come on. Yes, sir. But Mr. Clinton unilaterally gave $20 billion. But Americans are sleeping under bridges. Do you hear what I'm saying? How did that happen? Why didn't Dole say something? Come on. Why didn't Gingrich say something since they opposed it? What happened to their mouth? The American people don't know what's going on in this country. The country is going to hell. It ain't black people sending it there. We are the victims of what is going on. You didn't know. I didn't know. But those who study Constitution know that in the Constitution only Congress has the right to print money.
That's right. That's right.
The instruments of credit.
That's right. Yes, sir.
The founding fathers of this nation who were slaveholders knew from European history that to take control of the central bank of a nation would be to seize control of the power of that nation and then to direct the policies of that nation.
Come on.
So when the founding fathers got away from Europe and got away from the madness of Europe,
Yes, sir.
they wanted to set America up on a firmer foundation. They didn't see us as being germane to that firm foundation. They didn't see black people, Hispanic people, Native Americans as ever becoming citizens of this house.
That's right.
This was a house of white people, by white people, and for some white people. Of some white people, by some white people, for some white people.
Come on.
It wasn't even for all white people.
Come on. The history lesson.
Thomas Jefferson and these persons knew that to see the central bank of the country go out of the grasp of the legitimate government of the people would be worse than facing standing armies. Because when you face a standing army, you face an enemy that you can see.
Come on. Yes, sir.
But when somebody is controlling your finances and got power to deflate the money, inflate the money, got power to create a downturn or an upswing,
Come on. Yes, sir.
at their whim, send the stock market up or down, increase interest or decrease it, and you can't say nothing, then power is not in your hands. So to give you the right to vote for somebody that is not the real power is a hypocrisy, is a deception, is satanic. Black people are not the problem.
That's right.
We're a part of the problem.
That's right. Yes, sir.
But we're not the core of it.
Come on.
And to make the whole world look at you and me as though we're the ones undermining America.
That's right.
For our brothers in Japan to say, well, it's, you know, the illiterate Negroes that are bringing the country down. For our Hollywood black people to put a movie out that demonstrates the darkest side of our own life. And whites who distribute these films put it all over the world, but not as the darkest side of us, but us. So that the world sees the problem in America as some gang banging, dope selling, crack using black people. So that when they start killing black people wholesale, nobody cares. It's the same way when they kill Nazis, who cares? When they kill communists, who cares? When they kill so-called gooks, who cares? Well, now you are the Nazi, the gook, the unwanted element all over the world. It's black people that are unloved, unwanted, and now the die is set to kill black people wholesale. And we are contributing to our own destruction by not waking up to see what is going on around us. And here I am, just one man, with truth in my mouth and love of God and love of you in my heart. And as I rise up to tell the truth, America says he's a hater, he's a bigot, he's an anti-Semite. Don't listen to him. Now, I want to say this publicly. I know the press is probably gone. You have a deadline. Television, you got the first few minutes and you put that on the 11 o'clock news probably. But look, brothers and sisters, I would be unfit as a human being to hate somebody because they're Jewish.
Come on, that's right, brother.
I want you to hear me.
That's right.
I would be unfit to be a member of the human family
Listen.
if I hated somebody because their skin color was different from mine.
Teacher, that's right.
It's not your physical characteristics
Come on.
that is the problem.
That's right.
It's the way you think and the deeds that are done.
Come on.
Now, I said something in my Savior's Day lecture that I want to repeat.
Yes, sir.
Because I want us to understand something about the workings of God and what revelation really is.
Yes, sir.
When God sends a prophet into the world, that prophet brings what is called revelation. Revelation reveals the unseen and the unknown. You can't call it revelation if you can find it in the library.
Come on, that's right.
Revelation is that which no scholar or no scientist knew of knowledge before.
That's right.
So when God sends a prophet to open up the unseen and the unknown, God then is moving human beings up toward Him. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Come on.
Now, to the members of the Jewish family who are present, look how blessed you are. You are a blessed people. Because God sent you more prophets according to the Bible. The whole Old Testament represents prophet after prophet after prophet coming to who? Israel. But wait now. If the prophet comes and brings you revelation, that is putting you in potential leadership in every field of human endeavor. Other people can be envious, but envy destroys the envier. You still can't stop Jewish people from the brilliant manifestation of their gifts by being envious and hateful. Come on, that's right. The record of the Jewish people and their accomplishments is before the world. You can envy them, you can hate them, you can speak evil of them, but you cannot deny the undeniable, indisputable fact that they are at the head of every field of human endeavor. Now you that are here, if you're a lawyer, you go into the legal profession, you got to run into Jewish people at the top of it. That's not anti-Semitism, that's just a fact, doctor. Now you that are here, if you're a lawyer, you go into the legal profession, you got to run into Jewish people at the top of it. That's not anti-Semitism, that's just a fact, doctor. Are you a doctor? At the top of that, Jewish people. If you're in research, science, at the top of it, Jewish people. If you're in the arts, Jewish people. If you're in business, Jewish people. Wherever you are, they're at the top. God made it that way.
Yes, sir. Teacher.
That's not hate.
That's right. Come on. That's right. We support you. That's right.
Now, if your wisdom is used in accordance with the moral standard of God and the prophets, then you go up and you take humanity up with you.
Come on.
But every time a prophet comes into the world, he not only opens up the way for man to make an ascent to God, he also opens up the ways of descent to the bottomless pits of hell. Now, let's deal with truth.
Let's deal with truth. Deal with truth. Yes, sir.
See, you don't know who you are until wisdom comes to you. You may think you're a good person. Oh, I'm a good person. See, all dumb people can say I'm good.
Come on.
You can't do evil too much. You're just too dumb to do too much. You can do your little madness, and we understand that. That's childlike, immature behavior of an ignorant, wicked doer. But hell, when knowledge comes to you, now if you couple knowledge with moral correctness, then you become an agent of God. But if you take the wisdom and deny the moral standard, come on, then you become an agent of Satan. Come on. Or Satan himself. Now listen. Y'all all right? You sure now? Go ahead. Now, just as there are Jews who received revelation and held on to the moral standard and ascended in their manifestation of greatness and power, there is no doubt that there were others who rejected the moral standard but accepted the wisdom and became not the synagogue of the righteous, but partakers and members of the synagogue of Satan. Now let's see what I'm talking about. Come on. You will never after tonight open your mouth to call me an anti-Semite, because I'm going to give you a definition of that term. In Europe, a man by the name of Rothschild who claimed to be Jewish made this statement. He really didn't care who was king or ruler as long as he controlled the finance. Rothschild had 5 sons, and he sent those sons into different parts of Europe.
Yes, sir. Yes.
He sent one son to England, one to France, one to Italy, one to Austria, and one stayed at home with the father in Germany.
Yes, sir.
And they all became a part of the house of Rothschild, but through manipulation of money, the son in England grew up, and that became the Bank of England, the Bank of France, the Bank of Italy, the Bank of Austria, the Bank of Germany. These were central banks that printed the money of these nations that now were in the hands of a family that had spread out with not the intention of doing good, but the intention to become manipulators and controllers of the destiny of the world and nations.
Come on. Come on. Go ahead.
Europe had many conflicts.
Yes. Yes.
And the Rothschilds would finance both sides.
That's right. Yes, sir. That's right.
What you don't understand is that war is a manipulation of money.
That's right.
You think you're fighting for democracy. A war to end all wars. Let peace reign in the earth. This is the tricky language that the wise and wicked use to trap the poor and the weak. Are you listening?
Come on.
The house of Rothschild became so strong that even when America was established, they kept through their agents in America trying to control central bank.
Come on.
It hurt to read of the Civil War. People in the South didn't want nobody freeing the slave.
That's right. That's right.
I was not evil when I said that 75% of Jews own slaves. I didn't say it. You all wrote it in your history. Now wait. If you own slaves and they were the bedrock of your wealth, you did not want America free. Many were at the root of the Confederacy and the Confederate flag yesterday as well as today.
Right.
Abraham Lincoln was interfering with something bigger than just peace and war.
That's right. Oh, yeah, brother. Come on.
Rothschild, through his agents in America, financed the North and financed the South.
Right. Come on.
And more lives were lost of poor people who are idealists, thinking that they're fighting for these noble principles. And all at the same time, you're making the rich richer, but they're enriched at the price of your blood and the blood of your children and the blood of your children's children.
Go ahead.
See, brothers and sisters, look. There are many people in the country that know this.
Come on. Yes, sir.
But they don't have the voice of the poor. What makes it so dangerous for me to know it and even say it is because I have the voice and the ear of poor people.
Come on.
And once you know the truth,
Yes, sir.
it's very difficult for you to go back into your sleep. So naturally, to say these things, it puts the spokesperson at great risk.
Come on.
Because America has been built on your backs.
Right.
And if any truth comes to remove you, that's like somebody creating an earthquake. You see a beautiful building, but when the earth under it shakes, the walls come down, the ceilings come down. So that's why you have never been allowed a leader that could stay with you to speak to the masses of black people. Every time you had a leader that could speak to the masses, he was cut down. And he's cut down because the country is built on the backs of poor white, poor black,
Come on, that's right.
poor Jews.
Yes. That's right. Come on.
Look, brothers and sisters, in 1912, on December the 22nd, the Central Bank of America was taken over by certain families.
Yeah.
The Federal Reserve that prints the money is not owned by the government.
That's right. That's right.
Inside the government, betrayal went down. And under the presidency of Woodrow Wilson, who was elected in 1912, the Federal Reserve System was established.
Come on.
In 1913, He came in 12. Federal Reserve became an act of law in 1913. And in the same year, 1913, IRS was established. FBI was established. And the Anti-Defamation League of B'nai B'rith was established. And it's not an accident that these four entities were set up in the same year, and I'll tell you why. It ain't no use in you getting frightened.
Go ahead.
Because I'm doing the talking.
Come on, go ahead.
So all you can say is, I happen to be there. Lord, I'm sorry I went. But after you know the truth, it's on you. Now, all of this is not revelation. You can find this in your libraries. I want you college students to go and study this, because all your knowledge of economics and finance is worthless if you don't know the root of this thing. Come on. Now listen. Did you know that at 1912, when Woodrow Wilson was elected, the debt of America was about $1 billion. When Woodrow Wilson left office in 1920, the debt had risen 800 times what it was when he came into office. How did that happen? Now you say, well, how does this impact on you in 1995? Can you hold on a few more minutes? Look, brothers and sisters, in 1912, Woodrow Wilson was elected. 1913, IRS is established. Why was the Internal Revenue established? Because those who took control of the money knew that they were going to increase the debt of the country. And they had to have a way to recoup the debt. So the revenue was supposed to be a graduated income tax. This is the way it was put before Congress. Which, by the way, a graduated income tax is the second plank in the Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx. And when you hear the Republicans talking about taking back government and giving it back to the people, it's because the government was moving the country on a socialist trend. Oh man, look. This thing is deep. Yes, sir. Look. Woodrow Wilson comes in, and he's going to keep America out of the war. The war started in 1914. Is that right? Yes, sir. Come on. Woodrow Wilson's second term is in 1916. Come on. He's keeping America out of the war. This is the way they talk when it's time to get elected. But the big boys behind the door, they knew that the only way to increase the debt was to somehow get America involved in the war that was raging in 1914. So through the manipulation of an incident with a ship called the Lusitania, America declared war on Germany. And in 1917,
Come on, Bubba.
The American soldiers went to war in Europe.
Come on. That's right.
And in order to fight the war, America had to borrow money.
Come on, that's right. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Come on.
So who do you borrow money from?
Come on. Who do you borrow?
From those who print the treasury bonds.
Think of it.
Then they put interest on what America borrows.
Come on.
So the poor people are taxed to pay the interest.
Come on, that's right.
War over, 1918. Woodrow Wilson leaves office in 1920, and America, that was $1 billion in debt when he came in, is now $8 billion in debt, 800 times.
Come on. Think of it.
What it was. And the interest the American people are paying. It was the war to end all wars. And in that war, many of our black brothers were arguing and fighting because they wanted to fight for America, this great country, not knowing that the whole thing was manipulated by a handful of wicked men. J.P. Morgan, the Rockefellers,
Come on.
Loeb and Kuhn,
Come on.
and Schiff, and the Warburgs, and the Rothschilds. These are Anglo-Saxons and Jews, because it don't make no difference when you get to a certain level. We don't see ethnicity, we see money. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, World War I is gone. Follow me.
Yes, sir.
Now, here we are.
Come on.
Hitler rises.
Here we go.
Hitler's trying to get back what was taken from him
Come on. Come on.
and the Kaiser and Germany after World War I.
Come on. Teach us. Teach your people.
Hitler starts moving in Europe. Ain't nobody saying nothing.
Come on.
Where are you going, Hitler? Hitler sees himself as some kind of messiah.
Come on.
And guess who financed him?
Teach your people.
See, this is what they don't want to talk about. But Warburg and Rothschild, these are Jews. And some in America financed Hitler.
Come on. Come on. Expose it.
Warburg, a Jew, can travel in Europe at the height of the war, sleep in fine hotels, while Jews are being burned in ovens. Now, will a real anti-Semite stand up?
Come on.
Now, look, this is known in certain circles. Many young Jews don't know nothing about this. They're made to see Farrakhan as the enemy.
That's right.
Farrakhan is not your enemy.
Right.
Your people are using me to get money from you.
Come on, Brother Minister. Go ahead. Yes, sir. Open it up.
Oh, I'm going to expose them all tonight.
Yes, sir.
They say the FBI was set up to catch criminals.
Come on.
Well, that's true. But the FBI is a criminal organization. Oh, Farrakhan, how could you say a thing like that?
Come on.
In staid old Springfield. It's the best place to say things like this. In staid old Springfield. The FBI has been a criminal organization.
Come on!
They don't care nothing about law. They break the law to get at every black leader or white leader, anybody who can disrupt, destabilize, excite the poor. Under the name communism, under the name of any kind of thing they can think of, they come after you. Listen good now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know the FBI's history.
Come on.
Where we are concerned.
That's right. Well documented. Go ahead.
Was Mark Clark and Fred Hampton criminals?
No, sir.
They were members of the Panther Party. Was Marcus Garvey a criminal?
No, sir.
Was Noble Drew Ali a criminal?
No, sir.
Was W.E.B. Du Bois a criminal?
No, sir.
Was Paul Robeson a criminal?
No, sir.
Was Martin Luther King a criminal?
No.
Well, damn it, how could you have streets named for Martin Luther King Jr.? And you hypocrites line up on the 16th and you take ads out in the paper to celebrate the memory of a man that the FBI bugged this hotel, worked against him night and day. Tell me I'm lying. They hated Dr. King. What is the real truth of his assassination? They hated Malcolm, and they hated Elijah Muhammad, and they hated the NAACP and the Urban League, and they worked night and day to destabilize every black organization. Now tell me I'm a liar. Let's look a little deeper.
Yes, sir.
Just bear with me a few more minutes.
Come on.
It gets a little hot. It gets a little hot. You know, just fan yourself. It'll cool down. Everything's gonna be all right. Don't be frightened for me. Don't even let the thought into your heart to be frightened for me. You need to be frightened for yourself. Because when they're this wicked and you don't even know it, and I want to tell you wars that they contrived, and you lost your loved ones and I lost mine over something that really wasn't anything at all. Let me tell you, World War II jumps up. Hitler was moving in Germany.
Come on.
Do you know what manipulation was being done economically to strangle Japan? You don't know. All you know is Japan attacked Pearl Harbor.
That's right. So.
Well, they did. They really did.
Yes.
But what would make a little nation like Japan attack a big giant like America? You ain't never thought about that.
Come on.
If you see a flea jump on an elephant, you got to ask yourself, is the flea crazy? Or did the elephant excite the flea? When they jumped on America, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was considered a great savior, who introduced the WPA and the CCC and all these social programs that helped a lot of us out. I ain't lying. I have to say, as a child of welfare, that I'm grateful.
Yes, sir.
I'm grateful for the welfare that my mother received.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My father wasn't there for me,
Yes, sir.
but government was.
Yes. Go ahead.
I can't attack that.
Come on.
My mother was an honorable woman.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
She worked as well as took welfare.
That's right. Come on.
And when the welfare lady came to our house, you know, these people come around and look and see what you got. My mom's house was spotless clean. And she had nice furniture. And the woman wondered how my mother could live like this on welfare. My mother took the woman in her dining room in a little nook and showed her her power sewing machine and said, I take in sewing and I clean all you floors.
Listen.
I wash all you pots and I cook all you food. They used to call me Jean in those days. She said, Jean and Alvin, get your violin and get to the piano and play for the lady. Well, when I took my violin and my brother the piano and I played for the lady, the lady said she understood that my mother wanted to make something of her children.
Yes, sir.
I graduated high school at 16, and the day I graduated, a check came. And my mother took the check back to the welfare people and told them, thank you for getting me this far. I think we can take it the rest of the way. I'll deal with welfare reform as we close, but brothers and sisters, did you know that we got into World War II on a fluke?
On a fluke. Tell about it.
And we lost lives. And the debt grew because we had to borrow money.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
After the Second World War was over, Japan was conquered, Germany destroyed, fascism in Italy down. But what happened? Little did you know that right out of America and England,
Come on.
Trotsky and Lenin were financed. And Trotsky and Lenin went back to Russia and started the Bolshevik Revolution with money from the same international bankers.
Listen.
Now when the war with Germany and Japan and Italy was over, all of a sudden the Red Army, communism, became the next threat. This is how the international bankers keep those kings and rulers that they lend money to honest. They always have, after every war, a balance of power in the region, and they finance both sides.
That's right.
Now check out. The international bankers finance the communists. Communists develop some technology, a beautiful new tank that can do this and that. Somebody comes before the Appropriations Committee in Washington, we need a better tank. We're going to appropriate so much and so much money. You didn't ever ask, well, where the money coming from?
Come on.
They borrow more and more and more. Reagan, when Reagan came into office, America was the leading creditor nation. And in 8 years, this man leaves office and America is the leading debtor nation. How did all of that happen? You don't understand, huh? He comes up with Star Wars. We're going out in space. We're going to fight it. And the poor American people say, oh, Lord, they got these rockets. Oh, we need some more rockets. So they got rockets. The international bankers financing the communists. Then we got to get more rockets. They got nuclear weapons. We got to have them. They put a man in space. We got to put 2. They put 4. We got to put 8. And where's the money coming from?
Come on, that's quick.
Where's the money coming from?
Hey.
It ain't got nothing to do with welfare.
Come on. Go ahead. That's the key right there. Go ahead. Wake us up. Go ahead.
Your little stuff that you get is a piddling compared to what government has wasted of the taxpayers' money in weapons of war.
Go ahead.
Trillions of dollars spent on weapons. And after the Soviet Union collapsed, first thing they talk about is, well, let's go and destroy, these nuclear weapons. There's a proliferation. Now all the money that you put into these big bombs, your money.
Come on.
You living under a bridge. Your money.
Think of it.
You eating dog food.
Come on. Think of it.
Your money.
Yes.
That they've been taken from you ever since you worked in Social Security. Now they're eating away your Social Security benefits. Talking about don't touch Social Security. They've already raped her. Like Malcolm said, she been took. She been had. She been bamboozled. They got your money and gone. And they're betting that you are not going to even live to collect Social Security, because now they're talking about raising the age limit.
That's right.
To 70 years. Boy, this thing is tricknology.
Yes, sir.
Now, we out of World War II. In more debt. Communism up. More debt. China coming now. Oh Lord, 1 billion of them over there. And they got an atomic weapon. Oh man. More and more weapons in America. More and more taxpayers' money eaten up. Meanwhile, the roads are corroding. The bridges are falling down. The schools are not getting adequate care.
Right.
I mean, look at your country. Right. Look at yourself.
Look at it.
Well, the communists are moving in Asia. Oh my God. They're taking over Southeast Asia. You guys. The French got whipped in Vietnam.
Come on.
Right. Et Dien Bien Phu. Just a few got out alive. America said, let's get in there, let's get in there. Jack Kennedy's in office. Jack Kennedy wants to come out of Vietnam.
Come on.
Jack Kennedy talking about printing money.
Come on.
Jack Kennedy dead. If he comes out of Vietnam, the bankers don't get the money. Come on, boys. Uncle Sam wants you. Come on, boys. Communism is taking over the world, boys, and the same bankers financed it.
Come on.
Keep it going.
Come on.
But now you gotta die. Poor whites, poor blacks, poor Jews, poor Gentiles, poor Native Americans. Come on to Korea.
Bust it up, leader. Bust it up.
Come on to Vietnam.
Go ahead. Bust it open. Come on. Come on. Bust it open. Bust it
up. They'll give you a Purple Heart.
Yeah.
They'll even drape a flag over your dead body.
Right.
Fire a 21-gun salute.
Come on.
And tell you how a grateful nation. And all the time, you died for nothing.
That's right.
You died to enrich the wickedly wise, bloodsuckers of the poor.
Go ahead, bust them open. Go ahead. That's right.
This is why they fear truth.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, it make you angry, don't it?
Yeah.
Think about your uncles. Think about your fathers.
That's right.
Think about your cousins. Think about your people, white and black, who died thinking they fighting for democracy. Look. That ain't the half of it. Lyndon Johnson tricked the American people into the war in Vietnam on another lie, on what is called the Tonkin Gulf Resolution. We were in the war. Jack Kennedy trying to get us out. Ain't gonna have that. He's popped.
Go ahead. That's right. Yes, sir.
Now, LBJ is his vice president. Well, he's cool because he's our man. Because he's going to increase and widen the wall. Look at this thing.
Look at it. Bust it up. Bust it up.
So he steps in and it ain't no accident.
Come on, no accident.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Bust it up. Bust it up.
He steps in the Tonkin Gulf Resolution, which is a trick.
Go ahead, brother minister. Teach.
Westmoreland.
Right.
We can't let him down.
Right. Go ahead.
500,000 American troops sent to Vietnam. Do you know how much money it takes to move 500,000 troops 9,000 miles away? Do you know how much ordnance, weapons, ammunition has to be there?
Come on.
How much business is cranked up just at the thought of supporting 500,000 of our fighting men?
Yes, sir.
How many factories waxed rich, developing airplanes and tanks to fight in Vietnam? And do you know that when the Viet Cong came down on Saigon, they left billions of dollars in equipment and gold and money behind, running for their lives. And some of our family came back.
That's right. Come on.
dope addicts.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Because they were never trained to fight people like the Viet Cong. People live underground.
Yes.
Just crawl into a hole and got little works, almost like little towns under the ground.
That's right.
You bombing them and bombing them and bombing them, and you swear they gotta be dead. And they crawl up out the ground and tear your backside up. They booby trapped. I mean, you can't imagine the hell and the horror that your children went through in Vietnam. And because the American public, getting more and more enlightened, stood against the war. And here comes our brother, Martin Luther King Jr.
Yes, sir.
Now, as long as Martin Luther King Jr. was trying to integrate a toilet,
come on,
or a coffee stand, or a hotel, or a motel, he was a good nigga. Oh yes, that Martin Luther King Jr. is just a wonderful man. What is he saying now? That we should come out of Vietnam?
come on.
Wait, he's meddling.
Come on.
Niggers are not supposed to talk about international affairs. Stick to the Negro stuff. Don't dabble in international affairs and geopolitics. The FBI went to work.
Yes, they did.
Go ahead. The FBI tried to get the Pope not to recognize him.
Come on.
Tried to get the Nobel Peace Commission not to give him the medal. They bugged this hotel and sent a tape of what they bugged to his wife.
Come on. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
These are the bastards
That's what they are.
that say they're for democracy. These are the illegitimate reptiles of American society.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
It's all right for you to have a king holiday today because there's no more king. You don't even know what the hell Dr. King stood for. I have a dream. When the hell did he have a dream and when did he wake up to reality? They killed him because he was interfering with the war. Big business, big money. He's dead. Bobby's dead. Jack is dead. Anybody that interfere with their global ambition. But I'll be damned if you're gonna kill me. Almighty God, I'm gonna be your worst nightmare. By the help of Almighty God, I have a backer today. My brothers didn't make it through, but I'm gonna make it if it pleases Allah, and we are gonna make it. And now, Martin is gone. Malcolm is gone. These wicked people manipulated the circumstances inside the nation.
That's right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They manipulated envy and jealousy inside the nation.
That's right.
Against Malcolm X.
Yes, sir.
They manipulated us.
Yes, sir.
So when Malcolm split from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad,
Come on.
we in the nation who loved Elijah Muhammad and loved Malcolm had to choose.
Go ahead.
I was one of those who was taught and reared by Malcolm like a father.
Yes, sir.
I was his student. I adored him,
Go ahead.
but not more than the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
That's right.
I adored him because he was the greatest representative of the man I love. So when he split from the man I love, I was put in the position that children are put in
Go ahead.
when parents divorce.
That's right.
You don't understand the pain of your children. You don't know what it means to have children see the people who brought them into existence destroying each other. You don't know what that means for a child to be in the custody of a mother that is constantly berating and talking down the father.
Come on.
And when the father has visitation rights with the child, the father is talking down on the mother. The child is confused.
That's right. Yes, sir.
They manipulated us. I fought for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Go ahead.
That meant I fought against Malcolm, my brother, my teacher. I don't regret standing up for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but I regret that we were used to create the atmosphere that allowed Malcolm to be killed and Elijah Muhammad and the nation get the blame. Well, where the hell is the government in all of this? This didn't happen in a vacuum.
No, sir. No, sir.
Go read the files of the U.S. government. Go read what the FBI did.
That's right. Read them.
Malcolm wanted protection after his house was firebombed.
That's right. Yes, sir.
How come he went to the Audubon ballroom
Come on.
and there was no uniformed policeman nowhere in sight? How come a man who had always searched the people
Come on
that day decided he wasn't going to search?
Go ahead.
How come 2 men were arrested at the scene
Yes. Come on.
and only one stood trial?
Come on.
And there never was a mention of who that second man was.
That's right.
How come 2 other men went to prison
Come on.
for 26 years of their lives for a crime that they had nothing to do with, and the very man that was involved exonerated them?
Come on.
Consular had the names of all that were involved and went to the government to reopen the case. And the government refused to reopen the case.
Go ahead.
This is the same government,
Come on.
The same.
FBI,
Yes.
that paid an informant $45,000 to entrap Malcolm's daughter, a young Jew. Who said he's an enemy of the Jews and he's an enemy of your father. working on that child, being paid money. But that's only the tip of the iceberg.
That's right.
You know, the government wasn't going to let Michael Fitzpatrick or Michael Summers kill me. Why, if a Jew killed me, what the hell do you think is going to happen in this country? Do you think that you taught us how to kill in World War I, II, Vietnam, and Korea? And don't have nothing for us? And then would kill the very people that speak to our hurt? And we won't go crazy?
Come on. Come on. That's right.
They don't want no white person to kill me.
No, sir. No, sir.
They wanted me to react to Kabila.
Yes, sir.
In the way I reacted to her father.
Come on. That's right. Come on.
They wanted to recreate the same atmosphere again. To put nationalists against Muslims. And Orthodox Muslims against followers of Elijah Muhammad. There's already money out there to do the job.
Come on.
By that same government.
That's right. That's right. Go ahead.
Soviet Union is gone now. Well, what other war can we create? Let's see, we got to keep this debt going up.
Come on.
But bankers, don't you have a heart? I mean, the country's $4 trillion in debt.
4 trillion.
To service that debt is nearly $350 billion a year. You only take in $1 trillion in taxes. Over 1/3 of it is paying interest on a debt.
Think about it.
So if Clinton, who put a budget before Congress of $1,600 billion, which means that if he cuts taxes, Lord, y'all got to understand this language, man.
Come on.
They're talking about cutting taxes. They only get $1 trillion in taxes. If they cut taxes, now they raise the budget from 1.5 to 1.6 billion. Then there's 1,600 billion. So you got $600 billion more than you take in taxes. So you got to borrow money just to see your budget through.
Come on.
So by the time this man leaves office, the debt may be $6 trillion. Which means that whatever you're taking in taxes has to go to service the debt. So America then is bankrupt. Now the people who want a one world order, look at Bush's crazy self. These are your leaders and they ain't worth a damn, none of them. They have sold the American people out. You don't even are not even considered in this black man and woman. You are the biggest pawn in the game. You're not even considered. They don't even consider selling you out because you are nothing to begin with in their eyes. I know it hurts. I know it hurts. Look, man, Bush talking about a new world order. What is the new world order? See, it started with the League of Nations. Then it escalated to the United Nations. Now it's a new world order. And in a new world order, power has to be taken from every nation of power so that they will bow down to a new power. You don't hear me? America is being stripped of power. The sex revolution. Y'all got your head in your pants. Come on. And these people are taking the world over while you looking at your genitals. Come on. Are you listening to me? I'm not being vulgar. I'm telling you what's happening to your world. Your children are shaking their backside. Come on, that's what they're doing. At 2 years old, they can shake. Tootsie roll. Roll the Tootsie. It's all fun to you. And while you Tootsie rolling, they're rolling you up and getting you ready for the slaughter. You young white people with your head full of dope and your damn guitar and your long hair. Your whole country going to hell and you got long hair. You don't even know whether you're a man or a woman. An earring in your damn ear, one in your nose, and you all sexed up. Not to think of you, black brother. I don't know what the hell your problem is. Not to think of you, black brother. I don't know what the hell your problem is. You just as crazy as you could be. Sisters, I see you just naked. Oh, you might as well be naked. If you sneeze, you're uncovered. Got your dresses up so high, and some of you are grandmothers. Who the hell want to look at your thighs? Grandma trying to snatch her somebody. Ought to be ashamed of yourself. All that cellulite and... That's right. Stretch marks and broken veins. Cover your damn self like you got sense. You should be a woman now of dignity. Ruling from your wisdom and not from your body. We're all gone crazy. I can't turn the radio on.
Come on, come on.
Turn the television on.
Yeah.
I see my sister.
Come on.
With her backside in the TV.
Come on.
Almost buck naked. Just shaking and bumping and grinding. And the whole damn world going to hell.
Come on.
I mean, look how stupid you look. They have programmed you for self-destruction. Now you running around with your hat turned funny.
Yes, come on.
One color on, another color, and you got the wrong sign, so we shoot this brother down. Kill this one. Guns all in your neighborhood. When the hell did a white man ever want to see a black man with a gun? And why do you think the guns are there? I know you think you got some weaponry. You crazy as hell. They have set you up for the slaughter. The whole world has been made ready. They see the fall of America and they're blaming it on you. When the real fault is these wicked international bankers who have manipulated government, religion, education, science. Come on. But you are the scapegoat. And so, my dear family, Iran arose with Imam Khomeini. You don't know nothing about Khomeini? Khomeini is a sincere religious man. But he was a no-nonsense religious man, a real Muslim. You would call him today a fundamentalist Muslim, meaning he wants to root his life in the fundamentals of Islam. Some are called fundamentalist Christian, which means they're not deviating from the fundamental basic teachings of Jesus Christ. Nothing wrong with fundamentals. That's what everything is based on, the fundamentals. Khomeini came to power after America caused the destruction of Mohammed Mossadegh, who was a Muslim who wanted to control the oil of Iran and draw the benefit of that oil for the Iranian people. The CIA caused him to be overthrown, and the Shah was set on the throne in Iran. In Indonesia, the CIA caused over 500,000 people's lives to be lost. The CIA involved in the destruction of Patrice Lumumba. CIA tried to kill Michael Manley of Jamaica and tried to assassinate Fidel Castro and was successful in getting rid of Bishop in Grenada. You don't know the wickedness of your government. I'm not anti-government. I'm anti the wickedness of government that masquerades as righteous men looking out for the American people while they're sentencing you to death. The food merchants have become merchants of death. The tobacco industry, no, they're killing you. But you can't stop smoking now. It's a habit. I got to have it. Alcohol. Who are the families that control the alcohol?
Come on.
How did the Kennedy family become rich? Who is Meyer Lansky and Dutch Schultz? Who are that are behind the crime and the drugs, as well as Anglo-Saxons. Talk to me, damn it. The Bible don't tell you Jews to be drunkards. But why the hell you create the damn liquor? And ain't one rabbi pointing out these liquor barons.
That's right.
Where's the righteousness of you? Why don't you stand up for the law that God gave you through Moses? Why don't you say to David Geffen in Hollywood
Come on.
and these corrupt Hugh Hefner Playboy and Hustler magazine, these are your brothers. Why don't you righteous Jews speak out and condemn them like you want every black man to condemn me? You can't get $1 from a Jewish organization until you stand up and condemn Louis Farrakhan. They have made me the litmus test. So if some black person says, oh, Farrakhan ain't no good, he's all right. But I never hear one of them condemn any of the wicked of their own people. But you run your mouth, and I've never done one thing against black people. Not one thing. And to make it even worse, they call us a hate group. But you can't point to one thing we have ever done to any member of the Jewish community. You'll never find any of us painting on your synagogue. We will defend the synagogue.
That's right.
Any house where God's name is remembered, it is our duty to defend. You will never find us overturning tombstones in a Jewish cemetery.
Come on.
You will never find us attacking members of the Jewish community.
That's right. That's right, leader. Go ahead.
But if I tell the truth, now they call me a new Hitler.
Take your time.
For exposing. The ADL is a gangster organization.
That's what they are.
I'm not talking about the little Jews.
That's right.
I'm talking about them big ones at the top. Their duty is to protect the international bankers. That's why they were set up. And the moment I mentioned the international bankers in my Savior's Day address, the ADL took out a full-page ad in the New York Times condemning me as an anti-Semite, but they never said that what I said was a lie. Who is Paul Max and Felix Warburg? They don't want to meet me face up in no argument. You can't win in no argument with me.
That's right. Can't be the truth.
Not as long as I stay on the principles of truth. You can't win with me.
That's right. That's right.
So you go behind my back. Go to college presidents. Tell them don't let these Nation of Islam speakers come on the campus. What are you afraid of? I thought you had taught the people truth. Well, if you made your students so wise, what are you afraid of Nation of Islam ministers coming there for?
Go ahead.
Your education is the biggest trick of all. Because they give you a doctorate degree that you pay for, and a master degree that you pay for, and a BS degree that you pay for. And you can't use nothing that you got to solve the problems of your community. That's worse than a used car salesman selling you a car and keeping the key. And all you can do is sit in it and talk about how sweet it looks, but you can't go nowhere in it. So guess what? The evil empire of Russia is gone. The British Empire that said the sun never set on it, the sun can't hardly find it today. So all Europe is trying to band together now. Poor Africa. Africa is gone. I know, brothers, you know, I love Africa too. I like to hear the drum beat. I like to see the dance. I like to feel the rhythm of Africa. But what am I feeling? See, I'm not a romanticist, baby. Africa's nearly $450 billion in debt to who?
Think of this. Come on.
The IMF and the World Bank.
Yeah.
And anytime you're in debt, you give up some of your sovereignty and you give up a measure of your own natural resources to pay back the debt. So Europe is more firmly entrenched and in control in Africa today as they ever were. In fact, they're more in control. Do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, so what are we going to do about it? What we're going to do about it? That's where we're going to close at. Let's get together and let's see what we can do. First, I want to say Iran and Iraq, two Muslim countries, went to war with each other. Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states, sheikdoms in a kingdom set up, by the power of the British. They do all these things to create mischief. Kuwait is in fact the 19th province of Iraq. Did you know that? It's really true. But the British, when they set up the sheikdoms, they take some from this, knowing that later there's going to be a border dispute. Then the bankers come finance both sides again. That's why there's all these border wars in Africa. The boys have fixed it. Do you hear me? The sheikdoms and Saudi Arabia were so frightened by the rhetoric of Imam Khomeini. America, sitting in the back, sending Saddam Hussein money. Saddam Hussein has become the big military power in that area of the world. Did you know that? Saudi Arabia gave them over $50 billion in their war against Iran. Then when the war came to a stalemate, Iran as a military power was just about destroyed, but Iraq still had juice.
That's right.
And America didn't want Iraq strong with Israel there. Iraq built an atomic plant. And the moment it was built, the French built it for them at the cost of billions of dollars. The moment it was built, Israel bombed it. All that money going down the drain, man. The world don't say nothing. This is some deep stuff. America and Russia selling the black world arms. Everybody buying guns. And they give you the worst in their stockpile. The high-tech weapons, they don't give you that. That's why there's weapons in the black community. Some of them weapons you shoot here and the bullet goes there. They've given crazy guns.
That's right.
You drive by shooting, you think you shooting at your brother over here, you kill a baby over there. So how did that happen? I aimed over here. They give you the worst in the stockpile. Stuff that has defects in it, but you don't know the defects because you're not an arms merchant. But the arms merchants are waxing rich all over the world, selling third world nations antiquated weapons that you can kill each other with. Well, you sure ain't gonna kill them with those antiquated weapons. America got high-tech stuff. Iraq felt they were ready now. The American ambassador told the Iraqi government that was having a problem with Kuwait, that it wasn't their problem. So Saddam moved his troops into Kuwait. Margaret Thatcher leaves England, meets with Bush in Denver, and in the next few days he said, I told Saddam has to get out of Kuwait. But you told Saddam he could go in. Now Saddam is in, Saddam don't want to get out. Now check this out. He gets the whole United Nations to back him. I was in Baghdad 3 days before the bombs fell. I'm in Baghdad. What in the world am I doing in Baghdad? They invited me to a conference of revolutionary mullahs, revolutionary, they called them, I can't think of the name, of the Islamic scholars. And I'm sitting there, and I know this is rough, and they want me to speak, and I'm telling you the truth, I'm really a little nervous. And I don't want to talk because I'm not in agreement with the madness I'm hearing. And that's right. Finally, my son-in-law convinced me, you got to say something. Well, I said it. I said, look, I'm just going to give it paraphrase. I said, my brothers are down in the desert. Black Christians. That's my family. They in the desert poised to fight you. I said, they didn't join the army to fight you. They joined the army because there were no jobs available. Come on, so the army was a way out of unemployment, and they didn't have to get involved in crime. And so now here they are in the desert, and here you are, my Muslim brothers, poised for war against my Christian brothers. And then I railed on them. That's right. Told them your problem is not Israel. Your problem is not America. Your problem is your deviation from the principles of the Quran laid down by Prophet Muhammad. As God is my witness now, right. I'm in their house. That's right. But don't ever ask me to speak. If you don't want to hear the truth, I really don't care nothing about who you are. That's right. Because there is no king, there is no ruler, there is no potentate more powerful than God. That's right. So if you want the truth, then call me. That's right. And I'll tell it. Yes, sir. They were talking about holy war. That's right. I said, holy war is not for Saddam. Holy war is for Allah. That's right. I said, you can't use Allah when you got a political problem. Now you become a Muslim. And when that problem is over, we never hear you say, Allahu Akbar. That's right. Come on. They talked about the man in Kuwait as having 140 wives. I said, well, that may be pretty bad. I said, but what is worse, a man having 140 wives, or you starting a war with another Muslim nation causing 1 million young Muslims to be killed? Which one is the real hypocrite?
That's right.
I said it.
That's right.
I said they're poised and Bush is not going to back down.
That's right.
I said, now, if you empower me, I'll go back to America and have a conference with Bush and tell him that you, as Muslim scholars, have decided that this war should stop, and you, as Muslims, should use the Quran to settle the differences between two Muslim nations. Well, you know, the international bankers ain't gonna hear that. Hey, listen, do you know Saudi Arabia, for the first time, had to borrow money after that war? You know who benefited from the war? America said, you know, in Congress, we came out of this one with a plus. Do you know what happened? They set all the oil fields on fire in Kuwait. Who could put it out? Here come Jim Dandy to the rescue. And the Kuwaitis had over $250 billion in American banks, and it took almost $190 billion to rebuild Kuwait. So America won it all the way around. Now Saddam Hussein is under such constraints that he's no longer the military power that he once was. So Israel cannot be threatened so much by Iraq, nor so much by Iran. And America has a presence in Saudi now that she never had before. Right. And I mean, everything seemed to be working in her favor. Yeah. Now, let's conclude this. Look, brothers and sisters, this thing is so serious that America really, really, really is being undermined. Not by Louis Farrakhan, but by those who want to weaken America so much that you find revolution in the streets. And I'm saying this, if they cut out any help to the poor are going to revolt. And I'm not talking about poor black people. The whites of this nation are exceedingly angry. And they are more and more dissatisfied than you've ever seen white people in a long, long time with government and with politics. That's why they're not voting anymore, because they don't care about this anymore. And they're angry as hell because they see the country being taken from them. And they are armed and dangerous. And while they're planning to kill you, something else is going on inside the house. Now, how do we get out of this? The Bible says in my conclusion, I know you can't wait for me to get this, but I don't want you to leave me. I want you to hear this whole thing. The Bible says, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins and her plagues, for her sins have reached unto heaven. Then another place it says, Babylon is fallen, is fallen. She has become a habitation of devils and a hole of every foul spirit and a cage for every unclean and hateful bird. This is not talking about ancient Babylon. It's talking about a mystery Babylon. A Babylon that would be at the end of the world, that looked like a golden chalice on the outside, but filth and abomination on the inside. That's America. A habitation of devils. and a hold of every foul spirit, and a cage for every unclean and hateful bird. The unclean birds are the birds of prey. And right now, America has become a place where everybody is preying on, not praying for, preying on somebody else. Look at it. You take your car to the mechanic, he preys on you. You go to a lawyer for a simple case, he preys on you. You go to a doctor, he prescribes medicine, and the druggist charges you year-long bills for something that they know don't cost that much. The druggist preying on you, the doctor's preying on you. You go to church where somebody should be praying for you, and the preacher praying on you. You go to school, I mean, look at you. You walk the streets at night or drive, you come up to a stop, and your brother puts a gun in your face and says, get out the car. He takes your car and shoots you down, rapes your daughter.
Come on.
This is America.
That's right.
A habitation of devils. And a hole of every foul spirit. And a cage for every unclean and hateful bird. But she's fallen. She's fallen. And she will take you down with her if you don't come out of her. How do I come out of her? How do I come out? Is it that I must run to Africa? There's no hiding place.
Right.
Here's how you come out. You come out spiritually and mentally from the bondage of being wrapped up in a world that's sucking you down into its fall. You come out mentally and morally and spiritually. But now you got to extricate yourself economically. Well, how can I do it, Farrakhan? How can I do it? This paper money called a Federal Reserve note that used to be a silver certificate, that used to have on it, pay to the bearer on demand, $1 in silver or the equal in silver. That ain't on there no more, because you can't get real money for this money that you got in your pocket. The only thing you can do with that money is trade that money for goods and services. Now, while it has some value, we got to pool as much of it as we can. What should we buy?
Listen now.
We should buy earth.
Come on.
Earth that don't lose its value when the currency is inflated or deflated. The land will always be able to feed you with sunshine, water, and seeds. Look, you're going to have to come now and do something for yourself. You got clothes, but we don't make them.
That's right.
You got shoes, but we don't make them.
That's right.
You got homes, but we don't build them. Now, if we took the money that we throw away and began to rebuild, first we would take ourselves off of government as a burden and begin to use what we extract from this nation to build up our own self and our own community. Look, if you will walk with me, I want 1 million black men. Listen. I want 1 million black men not to read history or to be on the sideline of history.
Come on.
But I want 1 million black men to make history with me. If 1 million black men show up in Washington,
Come on. We will.
What is your purpose? First, we want to call for a day of atonement.
Right. Yes, sir.
What do you mean a day of atonement? We as black men
Come on.
have to atone for the evils that we have permitted to destroy our own communities. in our own families, particularly our women.
That's right.
We as black men have to atone for our slothfulness in putting our woman out front and letting her suffer the slings and the arrows and the abuse of this world to help her man make advancement while many of us stayed on the sidelines or stayed at home. We as black men have to atone for making children and allowing government to support the issue of our lives. We have to atone for selling drugs and dealing death in our community, sending these women to funeral parlors and graveyards, burying their children because of our madness or our lack of strength as men to stand up against the madness that's going on in our own community. A day of atonement. And last but not least, a day of atonement for failure to take up our responsibility as men to become the providers for our families and the leaders of our own communities. We have to atone for that. See, God is choosing you today, us today. With all due respect to the Jewish people, you have been chosen, but you failed in your commitment. Now God chose another. And the book said he would choose the despised and the rejected. He would choose the bottom rail and bring it to the top. Thou shalt no more be the tail, but the head. Who is the tail? Who is the bottom? Who is the least? Who is the foolish? It is we. God has chosen us. But black man, you can't accept your role from God until you come in sackcloth and ashes and atone and repent for your and my slothfulness and wickedness. And if 1 million of us show up in Washington, we're not drugged, we're not going there unintelligent. We're in ranks like a solid wall, proclaiming our liberation and our willingness to take up our responsibility as free men. And then we're going to call on America to atone for her wickedness, for her evils done. You got to make America know her rottenness. And I don't think there's anybody that can make her know it better. Come on! Make her to know her sin. And then call on America. You got to atone. What do you mean atone? You just don't repent and say I'm sorry, but you got to do something. We are the representatives of 40 million people. We are saying to America, all right, you don't have a lot of money. We understand the constraints that you're under. But you got a whole lot of land out here. You ain't doing nothing with it. It's going to take about 50 million acres for us to feed 40 million people and clothe them. Since you got government land that you ain't doing nothing with, then I want you to lease it to us, sell it to us, or downright give it to us for what we have done to build your country and to defend a freedom that we have never enjoyed. We want reparations.
Absolutely.
You got to do something to repair the damage that 400 years of injustice has done. But whether they do anything or not, we got to take the responsibility. With $400 billion coming through our hands every year, If we can just attract 10% of that back into our own communities, $40 billion, we can start building our own community and an economy that will cause us to survive. So whether government does anything or not is irrelevant, immaterial, and baseless. We got to do it for ourselves. 1 million black men. Look at the political drama. 1 million black men on a Monday. On a Monday. Not on a Saturday and not on a Sunday, but on a Monday, which is supposed to be a work day. On October 16th, mark it down on your calendar. I don't know whether you've ever seen the play. I never saw it, but I heard about it, called The Day of Absence. I want us to think about that, because on that day, we're not going to work. What you say, Farrakhan? I'm going to say it again. On that day, we're not going to work. We're going to Washington. We're going to do a different work. On that day, the children don't go to school. What? As ignorant as we are? No. On that day, black woman, you don't go to the office. You don't go downtown. You don't hit no damn typewriter. You don't do nothing downtown. On that day, every black woman, gather your children in your homes and start to get again acquainted with your responsibility and your role as a mother and a shaper of the destiny of your people. On that day, while we are in Washington, you at home with your children in a day of prayer and a day of teaching your children the value of unity. When they turn on the TV and see 1 million or more, tell them what unity will do, what a gun could never do. Unity will do what armies can't do. In unity, the children of Israel marched around the walls of Jericho and shouted in unison and brought the walls down. There wasn't a gun in sight. Yes, sir. You stay home. You're going to do some shopping, shop the Saturday before. Yes, sir. But on that Monday, they don't even see you at Bloomingdale. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They don't see you at J.C. Penney. Yes, sir. What's that other one? Cousin Peary Scott. Go ahead, dear man. They don't see you in Filene's basement. They don't see you in none of the fine shoe stores and boutiques. Because on that day, yes, it's a day of absence. Yes. I want white folk to see what America gonna look like when ain't no black folk in sight. Yes, you say you don't want us? I want to show you something. On that day, ain't gonna be no black man hitting no baseball. Yes, sir. Ain't gonna be no black man dunking no baseball. Yes, sir. Ain't gonna be no black man running no football. We're gonna let it be all white that day, yes, because all white on that day is all right on that day. Yes, sir. Let us see what football look like with no black folk running the ball. What does basketball look like with no black folk playing the game? Yes. What does baseball look like with no black folk hitting the ball? We're going to take the color out of America. We're going to take the salt out of the food. Yes, sir. We won't sing no blues that day. That's right. We won't play no trumpet that day. Yes, sir. We won't blow no horn that day. We won't do no rap that day. We don't entertain for nobody that day. Yes, sir. It's a day of atonement. Huh? And while you're doing that in the home, those brothers that can't make it to Washington, But you got to do something to show you in sympathy with us.
Yes, sir, dear minister.
You go to your family.
Yes, sir.
It's a day of atonement.
Yeah.
You got to go and tell your wife, I'm sorry. You got to tell each other, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Forgive me
Yes, sir.
for what I did wrong.
Yes, sir.
Can you forgive me? Can you allow me to atone for what I haven't done or what I did wrong? You make up with your estranged wife. That even if you can't be her husband,
Yes, sir.
you are her brother.
Come on.
If she can't be your wife, she's your sister.
Yes, sir.
In faith in God. And you got to make it right for the children's
Yes,
sake.
sir.
Then you got to go to your children whom you messed over. The lighter one whom you pushed up and the darker one whom you pushed down, and you got to make a day of atonement and say, I'm sorry. I didn't know any better. That's why I didn't do any better. But from this day forward.
Yes, sir. Beautiful teaching. Beautiful teaching. Man.
And then all over America,
Yes, sir.
a change will start taking place.
Yes, sir. That's right.
We don't have to go to the government and declare a holiday or ask government to vote on one. We're going to declare our own holiday and make it real.
Yes, sir.
Do you hear me, black brother and sister?
Yes, sir.
But that's not all. 1,000,000 men is an army.
That's right. That's right.
But what kind of army? You used to sing it in the church. Onward, Christian soldiers. But you don't know what a Christian soldier is if you're still in the church.
Yes, sir.
You got to come out of the church and march on Satan. March on his word as a righteous emissary of God and his Christ.
Yes, sir.
We got to do it.
Yes, sir.
We got to do it. Now what happens beyond? Every brother that comes, he has to register to vote.
Come on.
Say, for what, Farrakhan? Just hold on a minute. I'm going to ask those who wish to come out of the Democratic Party.
Come on.
I don't think they treated us right.
That's right.
I'm going to ask those in the Republican Party, come out of the party
Yes, sir.
and re-register as an independent.
That's right.
Here's why. In 1996, a presidential election is coming up.
Yes, sir.
We know they ain't the real government,
That's right.
but we can extract from it some benefit if we hold our vote solid. We're going to develop an agenda for our people. It's not going to be Muslim develop. It's going to be all of us developing an agenda. After the March on Washington, we do town hall meetings throughout this country, talking to black people, getting the pulse of our people and making an agenda for us. And then in 1996, when it's election time, same way they go to the synagogue and put on a yarmulke and tell members of the Jewish community what they're going to do for Israel and what they're going to do here and what they're going to do there. We're going to make them put on a dashiki or something. They'll wrap themselves in some kente cloth and come in front of us and tell us what you feel about our agenda here. We'll have legislation already prepared.
That's right, sir.
To go through Congress that deals with the plight of our people. We're not going to let them put you in jail for the rest of your life when the whole society has been geared against you simply because they say 3 strikes.
Come on,
Hell no. That's a modern slave plantation that they're preparing for the black man, and we're not going to let it go down. Now, if you don't think that our unity is power, I really want to show you something. If you back me up, ain't gonna be no more going to war. Come on. They gotta come by us first. Well, what you mean, war? Go ahead. Well, we have just declared war. We don't give a damn who you declared it on. That's right. But let me tell you, wait, man. Let me just tell you something. I know you scared as hell. I know that. Come on. I dog it, but a scared to death Negro ain't worth a damn. You hear me? Do you want to be free? Well, a scared Negro is never going to be free. When Jesus came to Peter walking on the water, hell, I would be shook up if I seen a man walking on water. Give me some sound. Man was walking on water. Jesus said, come on, Peter. Step out of the boat. That's heavy, brother. See, the boat is built under the law of buoyancy. You're in the boat, you pretty good, unless the wind and the waves capsize the boat. But to tell you, come out of the boat and start walking like your master on the water, hey, that takes some faith. And Peter got out and he started walking. He said, ooh, wait. And he took his eyes off the master and he went to sinking. And the master upheld him. But the lesson is a lesson of faith. See, God is with us to do what is right. And if you exercise some faith in God, and I mean, when I say exercise faith in God, stand still when you don't know where you're going. You say, well, there's a war. Well, wait a minute. Let's talk about this war. But we have the right. We are the President of the United States. We've sent you greetings, and we sent them back. You don't greet us no more. And I guarantee you, you stand up and they'll back up. Here's some sissies standing up. Darling, and you know if they can stand and force the government to back up. Don't tell, don't ask. And y'all can be in the Army, the Navy, and anything y'all want to be in. Well, what backed them up? 500,000 gays marched in Washington. That sent a message to all politicians. And they scared to offend gay people. Well, 1 million black men representing 10 million more. Hell, I want to terrify them to do anything to upset us. Now, when they get ready to go to war, they got to think now. And you that are Hispanic, if you ain't got a leader to talk for you, don't worry, I'll speak. You Native American, if you ain't got nobody to talk for you, don't worry about it. I talk for you poor white folk. I talk for you too. I have a little harder time, but I'll talk for you. You stand with me. And I say to the government of America, wait a minute. Let's go back into this. How did you get into this war? Because poor people are going to die. I'm not going to be the one to die. I'm too old.
according to their standards. I'm too old to be drafted. And my mother always taught me, don't get in no draft, you'll catch a cold. But we're not going to let them use you no more. That's the point. If America's sincerely in trouble, well, we got to defend where we live if she's in trouble. But don't manufacture trouble just to make some money for the greedy and poor people die. We're not going for that no more. Now, you know they don't want me to live. That's common sense, huh? You know they're upset. Tell them die in their rage. Because we're going to get stronger every day. That's right. So to our sisters, when we make this march, we want our women to be solidly behind their men. For all these years, you've been out front. That's right. And you have been the wind beneath our wings. We wouldn't be where we are if it were not for our women. You have been patient with us while we have been a mess. And now we're asking you to let us show you our appreciation and our love for you and our gratitude to you by taking the point where we should have been all these years. And when we go to Washington, from all over this nation, in unity, Christians, Muslims, nationalists, Baptists, people of no religion. Oh, what a day. No song will be sung that day that has anything to do with anything else but spiritual values. No rap, nothing. I'm talking about at the march. And the speeches will be speeches that have wisdom and guidance for black men. And after that, we intend to stay together and put pressure on ourselves and on corporate America. She gives too little and gets too much. How many of you own automobiles? Would you raise your hand? It's a lot of cars, right? How many of you own a General Motors product? Would you raise your hand? How many of you own a Ford product? How many of you own a Chrysler product? How many of you own a Japanese-made product? Okay. Now, what are they doing for us? For the billions of dollars that they take out of our community. Suppose we represent you now, and we go to GM. Mr. Motors, last year you took out of the black community X amount of billions of dollars. What we want is a partnership with you and a plant set up in the black community. We'll determine how many plants. We sit and talk with you. Listen now, this is no pipe dream talk. You just don't know what your unity can produce because you ain't never tried it. You never tried it. But when you look at what they get from you, and all you get is a commercial with Michael Jordan in a Chevrolet, or Mikey with Nike, What did you get out of that? Well, no, you the one buying the Nikes. They using Michael and your love of Michael to sell Nike. That ain't gonna work no more. Mike got his, but the black community don't have nothing. That's not gonna work no more. So look, man, you sending these factories, you making them in third world countries. The black community, the inner cities, is like third world. So what we gonna leverage is you going to give us X amount, and we're gonna be partners. We're not coming to work. We own it with you. But what are you putting in? Sweat equity. And all the billions that we've been putting in should have got us something in here. Now look at this. If they don't do this, then we don't buy no more General Motors. We don't buy it no more. Have you ever seen what your money could do when you stop? See, that's where white folk, you know, they talk to you then. Because you hit them where it hurt. And I mean hit them. Then after you do that to GM, we go to Ford. Then we go to Mitsubishi, Sony, whoever. And let's come back and deal with Pepsi. Then Coca-Cola. Deal with corporate America and make them respond to the needs of a people whose blood they are sucking. Do you hear me? And you can give Michael whatever you want to give Michael. But that ain't helping the little people that don't have a job. You're going to put a Nike factory in several cities. And in the meantime, back at the ranch, we're going to be pooling our resources to build for ourselves. And in the next 10 or 15 years, under that kind of leadership, you'll see yourself elevated to the level of respect all over the world. We're going to be pooling our resources to build for ourselves. And in the next 10 or 15 years, under that kind of leadership, you'll see yourself elevated to the level of respect all over the world. In fact, if you march with me to Washington, I guarantee you America will never be the same again. And all over this earth, they'll take another look at black people and say, well, what about you? Well, let's make you the preeminent leader. You can get personal. You can get personal. But if 1 million people answer the call, it's because they know something about the brother. Don't let envy get in the way here. Because I'm not a fool. I know I'm going to die. Sooner or later, I'm out of here. So while God has given me this moment in time, don't be no fool. Support me and let me do what God has put in my heart to do, so that when I'm no longer here to do, a foundation will be laid for your son and your grandson and your daughter and your granddaughter. Because it ain't about no personalities. We as personalities live and we die. In closing, somebody said, Farrakhan, I saw all those people lined up coming to see you. How does that make you feel? I said, brother, don't make me feel no different than I felt 30 years ago when I sat in your office to have you put some braces on my teeth. I said, there are generations before where there were persons who people lined up to see. That person is dead, and the people that lined up to see him are dead. And generations have come and generations have gone. But God was, God is, and God shall always be. So none of us who are born into this world to serve you are worthy of worship. Only God should be worshiped. We are a passing reality, but God is forever. So when you fasten your heart on God and not on these personalities that come and go, and if you can see in us while we are alive value, because God is using us as an instrument for that time, for a specific purpose, then give God the glory. And then help that person. See, you didn't help Martin Luther King. That's why you have all these holidays, because you didn't do right by him. You never did right by Malcolm. You lie if you say you did. You never did right by Garvey or none of the great ones because you were too frightened. Now you got a chance. We're going to Washington and beyond. All the brothers here tonight, how many of you would like to stand with Brother Farrakhan, and let's stand for our people? May I see your hands? Would you stand up, black man? How many of you want to go with me to Washington? Let me see your hands. Would you stand up, brothers? Look at them, sisters. Those of you who can't make it that day, how many of you will be in sympathy and support for us that day? Let me see your hand. I'm talking about men now. Men, just men. Now, sisters. How many sisters will be in support of your brothers if they march with us that day? How many women will stand in support of your man? You will? Well, here's what I want you to do. Every brother that said you're going to march, go get 10. Get 10 more like yourself and say, come on, man, we're going. And sisters, those of you who are going to back us, you go get 10 sisters. So that by the time October comes, all of Black America, all of Hispanic America, all of Native American America will be on fire. And then we'll send a message to the government and a message to the world.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
May God bless each of you. And if you'd like to get your instructions on the march, you can call 1-900-97-MARCH. Thank you for staying with me this long. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. May Allah bless you all as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
The Honorable Louis Farrakhan, give it up for him, Springfield. Back in Massachusetts, our leader, teacher, and guide, the champion of the black man and woman, Let's have a Springfield round of applause for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Receive him in Massachusetts. Brothers and sisters, while you're standing, if you would remain holding your place, Minister Farrakhan would like to lead us in a closing prayer. Please now listen for Minister Farrakhan.
Brothers and sisters, tomorrow at 2 p.m. at 727 State Street, the new mosque, I'm going to stop by tomorrow, God willing, to visit this new establishment and to be with those of you who would be out. We'll probably have maybe something to say for a half hour or so. And so I look forward to seeing those of you who would wish to attend. It's at 2 p.m., 727 State Street. And with your eyes closed and your head bowed, follow me silently in a closing prayer. O Allah, guide us among those whom you have guided aright. Preserve us among those whom you have preserved. Befriend us among those whom you have befriended. Bless us in whatsoever you grant us, and deliver us from the evil of what you have judged. Surely you judge, and none can judge against you, and those whom you befriend are not disgraced. Blessed are you, and highly exalted are you above what is set up beside you. We thank you for this meeting tonight, and we pray that each person here tonight will hear that word that you caused us to speak, and let that word not just enter the ear but touch the heart and produce in us a change, that we may no longer be called members of a house, of a habitation of devils and foul spirits and unclean birds who prey on our people, but we may be changed in the twinkling of an eye, and we will be like you. We ask as we leave this place that you go with us in peace and security, and grant those who traveled a safe return to their places of abode, and those who live nearby keep us safe, that we may work in your cause for the redemption and reconciliation of your people. We ask all of this in the name of your servant, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I bear witness that there is no God but you, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever. And I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is your messenger, the Messiah, and I am his servant. Ameen. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Once again, brothers and sisters, thank you for coming. Give yourself a hand. Let us welcome once again the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to Springfield, Massachusetts, here at the Symphony Hall. Give another round of applause to the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. We've been well taught tonight. All praise is due to Allah for blessing us with such leadership in our midst. Brothers and sisters, we remind you that tonight's tape has been high-speed, duplicated, and will be available in the lobby area as you exit the Symphony Hall this evening. Stop by and visit with Minister Farrakhan tomorrow at 2 p.m. at 727 State near the intersection of Hancock here in Springfield. We remind you once again, your information on the Million Man March is available in the lobby as you exit. Please be sure to take these materials home with you and participate in this great history-making day. Remember, tomorrow at Muhammad Mosque number 13, you'll be able to visit with the Honorable Louis Farrakhan as he extends his stay in Springfield for yet another day. We remind you